Welcome back to Spotlight on Scholarship. This month we will be talking with Sergio Monteiro, who is a professor of music and director of piano at the Wanda L. Bass School of Music. Thank you for joining us today. We have a couple questions to ask of you just to find out a little bit more about your scholarship. So I understand you have a new recording coming out in the spring from composer Vierne. And could you tell us a little bit about this project?
Yeah, so that's going to be the 7th CD I'm releasing with Naxos. I started this partnership with this label in 2015, so a couple of years ago, and I've been very, very happy with them. So what happens is they send me proposals. They send me lists of composers and music that I would be interested to record. So a couple of years ago, they asked me if I would be interested to record the complete music of Louis Vierne, the complete piano music of Louis Vierne, and which was a composer that I knew as an organ composer. He's mainly an organ composer. He's very known in the organ community as one of the most important organ composers ever. But his music, his piano music is not known. Vienne has a very pianistic, let's say that, very pianistic way to treat the piano. You don't hear the organ that much. So that kind of fascinated me.
So what does it look like to prepare for a project like this?
Lots of preparation, lots of preparation. So, I mean, to have an idea of everything that Vierne wrote for piano, I think because each piece helps the other. You start making connections. And I think that's very, very interesting for me as an artist, because I start making connections and I start understanding him more as a composer. I mean, after that, going through the lots of researches and score reading.
How does preparing for a recording like this second project compare to the preparation that you put in for a recital?
A recording and a recital are different things. A recording is time frozen. You try to make a document as faithful as possible to your beliefs, to what you believe at that moment. Of course, this sounds a little bit heavy and also sounds a little bit frightful. There's like this sentence that always in my mind: we always have to be contemporaries of ourselves. Of course, something that I write today, maybe if I reread in 2 months, I will want to correct. And with CDs, with recordings, is the same. You have like this feeling that am I gonna agree with this in a year or in 2 years? You need to be, let's say, bold enough to go through this process of even like doubting yourself about your decision. And it's important to be very clear of what you think about, for example, about the speed of the piece, about the dynamics of the piece, about the pedal that you're going to use. You need to have this place, because there will be moments in the performance that, because of the day, because of the light, because of the audience, you will take risks. And those risks can lead you to even like places that you never thought, or maybe you will not even like. But I think you need to have that. You need to take these risks in performance. So, and I think that's what makes live performance so fascinating, because you can't have control of everything. I don't like to go to performance where I can see that everything is under control, absolutely under control. Like, I can see that these pianists will play the same way in 3 days or in 4 days. I think we should not do that, which is something very complex to talk, because of course you need to have and I think these place, let's say, this room for risk you can only have this room for, you can only achieve this room for risk if you have absolutely control of what you're doing. Then you can leave this room.
Talk a little bit about how your interactions lead to growth within the field of the scholarship of piano performance.
That's very important. I think it's, and I always say that to my students, how important it is to collaborate with your peers. I mean, I think that's one of the most important things I would say to go to college. Not only your experience with your professors, but also sometimes I ask myself if, like, your relationship with your friends, or sometimes they can be almost, let's say they're almost as important as your relationship with your professors, because I think you learn so much from your peers, from your friends. I think that start in college, like the way they learn. You can compare yourself and you see the way they learn, the way they practice. It's almost like you're seeing things and you learn so much from them.
From your audience, who could consist of people who hear a melody that they find enticing, to somebody who is a music enthusiast. So at the wide range of your audience, what do you believe is probably one of the most common misconceptions about the scholarship of piano performance? Like what goes into what you do?
Well, one of the things was what we talked about. I think it's like this idea about taking the risk on stage can mislead people to think that we just close our eyes and play. Like every passage that we hear, like a pianist playing, how much hours you put in every scale. It's important for them to understand how much thought has been done, and we are not just there like just like improvising this music. I mean, everything that we are doing, there is a reason, there's a why, and comes from somewhere.
How does this scholarship that you're engaging in with this project, how do you bring that back to the Oklahoma City classroom, and how does it impact how you approach teaching with your students?
Oh, I'm always talking to my students about this. Always talking to my students about this. I mean, first of all, I think it's so important for students to know the literature. I'm always so happy when I have a student who just knows the literature and who knows the complete music of Schumann or the complete music of Chopin. I think it's so important for a student to be aware that there is like so much more in there. So I'm always mentioning those things to the pianist. I think the more you can stay, the more you can do things in parallel to the piano, the better, I think the better musician, the better artist you are. Because you need to connect everything. And it's frightful because, I mean, it's so much knowledge, there's so much, but you have to start somewhere. And it's, and you need to be, again, you need to have that courage to keep learning and to keep knowing more things.
Well, thank you very much for joining us today and giving us a little bit of a peek inside of how you prepare for your performance, how you prepare for teaching, and how you impact the students here at OCU. I want to thank you, and I look forward to next month as we shine a spotlight on another faculty member here at OCU.